or should I say good evening YouTube. It's Jonathan here with another YouTube video, and today we're looking at an Apple Mac which has recently come into our lives via the community here at Big Tree Harare, NASA at Big Tree Harare. So this is the first time I've owned an Apple Mac, and it's been a ride and a half. So where to begin? We've got a dynamic wallpaper here. So we're running macOS 12 Monterey, and it was a journey in itself getting it installed. So this is one of the Monterey dynamic wallpapers. If we go to the Apple menu, let's just change that over so that it's on Finder. Yeah. Apple menu, about this Mac. macOS Monterey. It's a MacBook Air 13-inch mid to 2013, so it's a good 10 years on that. Version 12.7.6. Introduction out the way. So we've got a menu bar at the top, which has got our what would be the system tray on Windows. I don't know what it's called in a Mac. Date and time, and settings there. And we have a dock at the bottom. If we hover over the bottom, the dock will open up, and it's got this awesome, smooth, animated zoom on the icons. Introductions out the way. ESET is covering our security for the next year. Thanks to sponsorship on that from various parties. And Finder. How to find yourself in Finder. We found an option on the Finder called Pathfinder. I'm checking it out, having a look at it, doing a bit of beta testing on the Pathfinder compared to Finder. And this is the Launchpad. Click Launchpad to get that up. I've also got a hotspot in the bottom right-hand corner, which brings up the Launchpad as well. If you look at my cursor, I go down to the bottom right-hand corner, it brings up the Launchpad, and I can scroll the mouse to move it across the screen there. And if you go in and out of that, it disappears. So that gives you a bit of a feel for the machine. It's got 128 gigabytes, of which 121 is usable. The rest is taken up with operating system files, I think. But we probably got about 25 gigabytes free for our personal files after everything's been installed. So what have we got installed? Advertising goes to Adobe and Apple for the use of Photoshop. Thank you very much. If anything else is additional to that. Got my WhatsApp to keep in touch with people, and Meta Messenger, Facebook Messenger to keep in touch with people, and the outside world, Discord. And I'm looking towards doing a bit of computer programming. I've got Visual Studio Code installed, and it also helps as a markdown editor rather. Bear is a comparative review on that. It's a very interesting program for Macintosh, and it allows you to keep your notes and things in a markdown way. Bridge, Creative Cloud, Bridge, Photoshop, InDesign, and Acrobat. So the one that's missing, and is quite important to note, is Adobe Premiere. And I see it runs into the tens of gigabytes to get it installed, and we simply don't have the oomph on this machine to kind of run it. So it's a bit left out, Adobe Premiere, but we give it a mention anyway. We've got some Microsoft apps, Microsoft Office. Raindrop is a wonderful bookmark manager, and it's made an incredible replacement for my Pocket. Mozilla Firefox has decided to close down Pocket this year, and I had to drop all my bookmarks from Pocket onto Raindrop, and it works perfectly fine. I just made a folder in Raindrop, imported my Pocket, and we're good to go. Apple App Store, VirtualBox, settings, Camtasia, which we do video editing in preference to Adobe Premiere, because it's lightweight and it works on this computer. Last year's version at least works on Monterey. VirtualBox. I've just installed MX Linux, the latest version. I think support for it ends in January compared to the slightly older version, which has long-term support, I think. But if we just open VirtualBox, you can see we're powered off there. I won't power it on because I'm not sure how the video recording will be affected by the loading up that, so we'll leave it off at the moment. But it's MX Linux, XFCE, desktop, and we have VirtualBox guest editions installed. So we have a bidirectional copy and paste, and we have a shared folder, so we can get through to from our host to our guest machines no problem now, which is fantastic, and it seems to run okay on. You certainly can't play a YouTube video on the MX Linux without it dragging, but the rest of the system, for my purposes, it does what I want it to do. So, that's fantastic to have that installed. Close that down, and if you actually want to back to find it. Some of the apps, this is what I've noticed, particularly coming from Windows, is that some of the apps close when you close the window, and some of them stay open. For example, Firefox. If we go to Firefox, you actually have to go to Firefox menu and say quit Firefox for it to disappear. And it'll be unloaded out of memory if you do that. But some of the applications like system preferences, if you close the window, you see this little dot under the one that's open. System preferences is open, the little dot there. If we close the window there, it'll actually unload it out of memory. And we're back to Finder there. Amazing. Got our Wi-Fi, all sorts of things. Got some cloud storage, Dropbox. You can see we've got all sorts of things installed by default, FaceTime, messages, maps. All sorts of things are defaulted there. And the one that got us online with the Monterey is Open Core Patcher. We use that to install the latest version of Monterey, macOS 12. I see there's a dictionary. I haven't opened that before. I'll do that at some stage. And all sorts of things. Coming from Windows, the one I wanted to make note of is the Tuxera Disk Manager, which enables me to copy onto an NTFS file system. I just didn't have the foresight when I made a disk, formatted a disk years ago, and I made it into an NTFS volume, and the Mac simply can't copy to it. So this helps that smooth over that process of coming across to Macintosh. And there is an option of Paragon. I haven't had a chance to look at that, but we'll get there. And apps for Google the advertising and the need to pay for it is prohibitive. There's a paywall there. Got my Python installed, so it may smooth the VS Studio operation. Stuff like that. It needed to be installed for VirtualBox to run as well. Anyway, that's my short, sharp introduction to the world of macOS and Macintosh computers from Apple. I hope it serves us well as we go forward in life. And the one thing I wanted to show you was, there were two things I wanted to show you, but the one thing I wanted to show you was Adobe Photoshop. I've closed it, so we'll have a bit of a chat while we load it into memory, so to speak, and open the app. You see it's bobbing up and down there. That means that it's actually opening. But because it's a bit slow on this particular machine, it takes a bit of time to actually open. So there we go. There's opening now. So it took a few seconds from when I pressed the button to when the splash screen popped up. So that gives you an indication of how long a Photoshop application opening takes on this machine. It's a standard test that you can do on any machine to see how fast it takes Adobe Photoshop, the latest version, to open. So there we go, Photoshop's open. And I just wanted to show you, out of interest, I looked at this cartoon by Gary Larson many years ago, and it's just a wonderful, just to say, we're thinking of you wherever you happen to be, Dr. Jane Goodall, and etc., etc. And especially as one era ends, one door closes, another door opens. So we want to close out of Photoshop there. Quit Photoshop. And Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl, comes to our lives tomorrow. So we've got about 24 hours before that becomes a reality. And life carries on planet Earth, and we must do the best we can for this planet because it's the only one we have. Have we mentioned everything? I think we have. Pathfinder, Vim. The long road of publishing and text editing and thinking about learning latex, all sorts of things. I was talking about Markdown with Bear and, what was the other one? Visual Studio Code. We also go the other way with Linux, and we have Mac Vim. If you've been using Vi Editor for years, then you can certainly have a go at Mac Vim. The standard text editor on this machine is TextEdit, and the only issue I found with it, and it's probably an issue with Mac Vim as well, is that I haven't figured out how to zoom on the text without making the text any bigger. I'm not quite sure how that works. There's keyboard shortcuts for it as well, which we should display on the screen, but we're not very good at our video editing yet. And I received this machine with a copy of Steve Jobs by, is it Walter Isaacson? So that book comes recommended by the folks that kindly gave us this machine. So that's interesting to note. Steve Jobs. So a kind of memorial on both counts. Hey, Jane Goodall, Taylor Swift, and the team at Big Tree Harari. Thanks, NASA at Big Tree Harari, and good day to you, YouTube. Click subscribe, thumbs up, all that sort of thing. And thank you very, very much for watching macOS Monterey.